we still have some miles to go down the road together today. So oftentimes we do this. If something happens here on down the road, I'll share it with my radio audience. And if something happens that I think is of interest to the TV audience, I'll share what happened on the radio side. Well, today I'm going to share with you what happened on the radio side at the home base of the News and Views Radio Network, which is KFGO. We had an opportunity to visit with a man that you see often here on Beck TV. He runs a number of commercials, and that's Mike Lindell, Mr. My Pillow. He has some strong opinions about what happened in the last election, and we talked about it. So take a listen to this.
Mike, I want to talk to you a little bit about, first off, My Pillow. There's a lot of people out there that love your product, and a lot of people that when they look at your product now, they think politics. Is that good for My Pillow or not?
Well, I don't know if they think politics. The only station now that I don't advertise on is Fox. CNN, MSNBC, and all the rest of them, ABC, everybody accepted my ads except for Fox. So, I think what's happened is because we just hired another 200 employees, so I guess it's pretty good for business. We have 2,700 employees now, and it really, as much as you think it might, it really doesn't. The people, I think it's the left-wing media more so than people. I have friends. I grew up with no forks all the way to four forks, and I have people in my company that are Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. I was never anything when I was growing up. I was an ex-crack cocaine addict, so I didn't know anything about politics. So I don't think it's affected me like people perceive out there. I have advertised more on CNN and MSNBC than I do Fox right now because of the ads being pulled.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because some of the big retailers, the Costco's, the Bed Bath & Beyond, I know they pulled your product. And I know that you had a lot of conversation about cancel culture and where we were at in America in terms of freedom of speech and still yet being a businessman. And so, you think about those big stores and you think, okay.
Well, that was that was different. That was what that was. Now, when I went all in for Donald Trump after he reached out to me in the summer of 2016, I was the media's darling, and I was on, obviously in every box store, every shopping channel. And when I went in and met him, he said, "Hey, you make all your products. You make your pillow here. I'm going to bring the manufacturing back." And he had just reached out for me for a private meeting. I walked out and said, "Wow. He's got no other agenda other than to help this country." And I went back to Minnesota. I did a press release, and the media attacked me. They called me a racist. They called me everything you could think of. And but they took me from an A+ to an F with the Better Business Bureau. It was an all-out attack. I thought it was real people. I've come to find out later, most of that was bots and trolls. And what happened then over the next 4 years, they accepted me for. They wanted me to boycott Fox a lot when I was on Tucker and Laura and stuff, but CNN, MSNBC, everything was fine there. Then the difference was with the retailers was on January 9th when I was given evidence that was different than anything out there that explained this complete anomaly and deviations of the election, which I had personally investigated for 2 months. That's when the retailers were attacked by bots and trolls that weren't real people, and they all dropped. 24 retailers, all the shopping channels, and I was out of fear. They were fearing that was their customer base reaching out to them, when in fact it was bots and trolls. We know that through our investigations that it was, because as soon as they dropped me, the real people went out and really did boycott them.
Mike, I wanted to talk to you a little bit, if I could, about those investigations, though. You came pretty close to my neck of the woods here, to Sioux Falls, to hold what you said was a rally and to show some of.
No, it wasn't a rally. It wasn't a rally. It was a cyber symposium.
Okay.
And I invited all 50 states. I invited the cyber forensic experts they would get $5 million if they could prove it wasn't from the 2020 election.
Okay.
And 100% it was a success. I've met with 8 states now that are coming on board for our Supreme Court case that will be launched before Thanksgiving now, that we're bringing to. 100% bringing it to, and nobody got the $5 million, did they?
Well, let me put it this way to you. I mean, you say it wasn't a rally. I'll take your word for what the intent of it was, but many people saw it as a rally, which is why I called it that. But the point is the evidence. You know, the evidence of the theft of the election. One person's right and one person's wrong. And I'm going to use this as an example, okay? You're convinced that the election was stolen. The Republican Secretary of State in Georgia has gone on and he's doing national media again today. And he's just recently published a book pointing out
he's a criminal. He's a criminal. He's part of it.
And how did what proof do you have that he's a criminal?
It goes back to him and Kemp, back to when they bought in 2019, $107 million worth of Dominion machines. We have agreements that were signed. All this stuff is the criminal part of the investigation. Jack Dorsey, Mark Zuckerberg, all these people were in on it, but most of it came from the CCP, from China, the physical intrusions into our election. The evidence I have, we've had enough evidence since November 4th to convict every single person in this country for life in prison. It stacks from here 2 miles high. Everyone knows this. And if you don't, people have blinders on. This was taken because of the computer age we're in. And when there's cyber attacks, they happen all the time. They happen at Myfield. They happen in gas lines breaches, credit card breaches. But when they happen there, you can make it up with money. With something like this, if we don't correct this now with the computers, we will lose our country forever and ever. When I was on Jimmy Kimmel, let me finish this part. When I was on Jimmy Kimmel, he asked me, Mike, if your evidence showed that Donald Trump was the winner, would you still be sounding the alarm? And I said, absolutely. And the Washington Post came to Minnesota. They questioned all my friends and people that didn't know me and said, would he really do this? And they said, absolutely, he was. Mike, this isn't about Donald Trump.
Mike, one of the reasons I bring it up, obviously, is because there's been recount after recount after recount.
No, there hasn't. No, there hasn't. That's the big lie the media said.
What isn't a big lie? Come on. I mean, let me say what I am going to, and then you can. I give you my word. I'm not going to cut you off, okay? I mean, you've got recount after recount in Arizona. You got recount after recount in Georgia. You've got people counting by hand. You've got a machine that could easily have been hacked in other states that you say has been hacked there, when in fact in other states where Donald Trump won, if it was going to be that orchestrated, then you would think that they would have done it in other states where Republican congressmen and women won. And so I'm trying to see the evidence. And of course, you and I both know that with Dominion, you are up against a big lawsuit that you filed a counter lawsuit on. And so some of that's all going to play out. But to say that there hasn't been any recounts, you're going to have to explain that one to me, Mr. Lindell.
Okay, I will explain it. There's only been one county, one judge in the United States, and that was in Antrim County, Michigan, was willing to look at what we call an audit, not a recount of the vote, of the paper. The paper, that doesn't do it. You have to go in and see where what they did to the count. It can come after the machines, after the paper. It can come at the entry point of the Secretary of State's computer. It can happen at all these different entry points. Only one place was it looked at in the United States, Antrim County, Michigan. 7,000 votes were shown there flipped from Trump to Biden. Then we had the second audit that came, the second complete audit, which comes out this Friday at 1 o'clock. It's going to show 175,000 to 200,000 votes that were flipped in Maricopa County alone. I have, since the cyber symposium ended, this was in all 50 states, not just swing states. So when you say that, you're 100% right. They did it in every state. If you go to my site, frankspeech.com, you can see we have all the packet captures and all the data from the whole election. I've had it now for 7 months, getting this ready, or 9 months now, for the Supreme Court. Every single state was hacked. I've met with now Alabama, Missouri. I'm down in Florida. I met with them, showed them this forensic stuff with their own people, and they're going, wow, it happened in our state too, even though Donald Trump won. In Florida, 900,000 votes were flipped. Third highest in the nation from Trump to Biden. Now, we do canvassing. We do canvassing then. So I've had teams of canvassers out, which they go door to door, and we go, wow, look at all these ghost voters that didn't exist. So what happens is, I'm almost done.
Okay.
Every single state, including North Dakota, you can go to Frank's Beach right now and see it. For the first time in history, you have non-residents and dead people that voted. They didn't go out and come in from Minnesota and vote in North Dakota. They don't live there anymore. They use the 2010 voter rolls is what they use for the whole country. You're never going to have another free election again, ever, unless we get rid of these machines.
You know, North Dakota's a state with 700,000 people. I think I know most of them. So if you've got evidence of dead people that voted in North Dakota, I'd love to see it.
They didn't vote. They didn't vote. They used their name. Well, and there was about 30,000 of them in North Dakota.
Yeah, but my point is that means to know that you know the names of the people that were dead that did vote, and I'd love to see those names. I would.
100%. We just did it in Wisconsin. 23,000 people voted in Wisconsin. They voted using the prison address with their phone numbers.
But
they didn't vote.
Mike,
and it just happened again in California on the recall. Do you know how many people went there to do the recall? And they said, oh, you've already voted. Not a few hundred, thousands and thousands of them. We have people on the ground there.
As you can see, there's a lot of passion in this conversation I had. I hope you also see there was respect given. There was an opportunity for both sides to be heard. We'll continue that because there's more of it when we continue our trek here down the road. You know, again, he didn't have to grant the interview, and yet he took the interview, and I respect him for that. Mike Lindell, Mr. My Pillow, is out there claiming fraud. I'm calling it the big lie. He's saying that the election was rigged. Here's some more of our conversation that we had today on my radio show. News and Views.
Minnesota is home for you. So you understand the Midwest and you understand who we are, the culture, and how we can walk into any small town cafe and know people, right? If you're saying in North Dakota it was orchestrated so that we had dead people used as names to vote, I want to know who they are. I want to know who they are.
You know what? I just asked your people in North Dakota, I said, you guys want to be on the list to come there next? He says, no, we're doing a full audit thing, whatever. I could give you that guy's name. We're going state to state because leading up to bring it to the Supreme Court, I can come to North Dakota. It'll take me all of about a half a day with my team to come there and meet with your officials. And we show them, here's what we show them. We show them the voter rolls from 2010, and we show them what happened. Pick any city, any county. We go through the county, and you're going to find people that died. If you have a rural area, do you know there's so many rural areas where people don't live there anymore and moved to the big city since 2010, where more people voted to live in the city? I'll tell you one more thing too. If you go and you look at scientific proof, which I have on franksbeach.com, you can pick a county in North Dakota. Pick a county. Just go ahead and pick a county.
Richland.
Richland. Okay, now pick an age. One age. Like pick one single
59.
Age. 59. You can take the 59-year-olds in Richland, and the same percentage of 59-year-olds voted throughout the whole state of North Dakota. In every single county.
You're specifically talking about dead people. Their names.
I'm talking about the voting rolls.
Hold on,
don't
Mike,
change it. These are
we don't register to vote. We don't register to vote in North Dakota.
These are voter rolls. They used the 2010 census report.
Right, but you said people that were dead that voted. What I'm trying to ask you, sir.
They didn't vote. They used their name.
I know. Who were they? Mike, who were they?
These are non-residents. Go get your voter rolls. I'll get the voter rolls from North Dakota. You want to have me back on? Go to frankspeech.com, everybody, and you don't have to listen to this stuff because it's all there. I've had it there. I had the evidence there for 7 months.
Let me ask you the biggest one here.
What do you think? You just think I just wanted to spend my life running around trying to do this, get rid of these machines? You're never going to have a fair election. And people like you that don't believe this can go. Then you should have went to Frank's Beach and watched these movies and see all the evidence that's there. Do you think it's weird that every county in North Dakota, the same age voted? That 38-year-olds. You pick one county, the same percentage voted in the whole state.
There's no way you're going to convince me. You're right. There's no way you're going to convince me that I'm going to find.
Then why don't you have some? You're going to find what? You're going to find names that were used. The computer uses
That's what
names.
I'm looking for from you then. I have to ask you this.
No,
because
you get them from your Secretary of State. You can get them yourself.
I know, but you said you had evidence, right?
We have all the packet captures. We have the whole evidence of the whole United States.
I want to see
packet captures.
I will. Yeah. Your folks have been nothing but great for us. We will contact them, and I will try to get the evidence of North Dakota where dead people's names were used to vote.
Okay. Well, I will get the voter rolls for you, and we'll give you the name. We'll give you the names of all the people that voted in that election that don't exist, and then we'll come in and canvass your county. And then you can publicly apologize that you guys are so blocked.
You show me. I give you my word. I give you my word on this, sir.
Do you think this election was done? That there was nothing done in this election? Do you really believe
I give you my word on this, sir. I promise you. You show me people whose names were used that were dead in Richland County that voted, and I will apologize to you.
And non-resident.
You give them to me. We'll have another talk. I have to ask you this. In the little bit of time I know that you have left for us, do you think Donald Trump's a liar?
What are you talking about?
I said, do you think he lies? I mean, I don't trust him, and I want to know what you do.
Listen, do you lie? Do you lie? Have you ever told a lie? I'm going to ask you this. I met Donald Trump. Listen to me. I didn't know anything about politics. I had never voted. I grew up in Minnesota. I farmed. I hunted in North Dakota for years. I grew up. I was just a normal guy. I guess I was a functioning addict because I was a cocaine addict. Then I turned to crack cocaine. I met Donald Trump in the summer of 2016 on a divine appointment. He happened to call me up and said, "Would you meet me?" He wanted to bring manufacturing back. Our conversation went like this. I said, "You know what?" I said, "I used to be a crack cocaine addict, and I want to stop help addicts across the country, which I do with my LindellRecoveryNetwork.org. It's free to addicts. I put millions of dollars into it." He goes, "And I'm going to stop the drugs pouring in." And he had all these ideas. He told me. He told the truth on every one of them. Every single thing he told me in that office came to fruition. So in my mind, he's never lied to me. Everything he said he was going to do that helps all people, not just Republicans. His heart is to help all people. When you make decisions in government that only help some or none of the people, like what's going on right now, if you think that there's one executive order that this government has done that helps anybody, you're wrong. When the first thing they do is lay off 50,000 union workers on the first day of the inauguration and 13 people have committed suicide, you open the borders back up and say, "Come back in, drugs. Come back in, people that have COVID." I mean, this is just nonsensical stuff.
Mike, this is as much time as your people gave us. But I guarantee you this: you come to North Dakota, you give me that information. I'll show you where the birds are. We'll go hunting. How's that? I want to know. I want to know where the names are. Okay.
Well, you could start by going to frankspeech.com.
All right.
You could see all the evidence there. That's something you could do. Before this interview, you could have done a little research on that.
I did. So thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming on.
Okay. Yeah,
Mike Lindell.
It was an interesting conversation and one that I wanted to share with you here as we go down the road. Let's go over a couple things that he said. And this isn't backstabbing him after he was off air. This is just the truth. If I go to the Hankinson Fire Hall and I walk in there to vote, and I'm not being cocky here because it's true of most of you as well. If I go in there to vote, they're going to know who I am. They are. They're going to know who I am the minute I walk through the door. They're going to say, "Well, there's Joel. He's coming to vote," right? They're going to know the guy behind me that's coming in to vote. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to require me to show my ID. That's the process. That's the process. And so if people are using individuals' names that are dead, they're going to get caught. And it's not true. It's not true. And let me explain this to you. If he's sitting there and talking about how this is happening, and this is rampant in North Dakota as well, why did Donald Trump win this state with what, 65, 66% of the vote? Well, why did Kelly Armstrong win? If the Democrats are rigging the machines, we're doing a pretty bad job of it. In many of the states, Georgia, for example, they picked up Republican House seats. this stuff isn't true. You know, perpetuating the big lie, the more you say it doesn't make it true. You know, like my old man said, you get a fan running and you you draw the image there, something's going to stick. But it doesn't mean what stuck was right.